Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you my step-by-step routine on how I prep my oily skin for a perfected, flawless base. If you're interested in seeing that, along with my top 5 recommendations of foundations for oily skin types during the hot summer months, then keep watching. Hey guys, so thank you so much for clicking on my video. Today, like I said, I'm going to be showing you what my step-by-step routine is on how I prep my skin, my very oily skin, during the hot summer months to make sure that my foundation stays put, it looks perfected, and for the most part, flawless for 12 hours plus. I have very long days. It's very hot and humid even where I live. I live in Dallas, Texas, and so it's important that I follow this routine, especially during the summer months. During the winter, I'm still very much oily in the T-zone and even in this area here, but the perimeter becomes more normal. So I can kind of get away with not using this routine, but during the summer months, it's essential. After I show you my routine, I'm also going to be sharing with you my top 5 recommendations on the best foundations for oily skin types during the summer months. So let's go ahead and get started. Don't forget to like the video if you like what you see. Consider subscribing and go follow me on Instagram. Also, during the video, if you have oily skin and you have a product that works really well for you, make sure and share that in the comments down below to help us all out. I'm always trying new products and I want to make sure that if there's something that works for you, I want to try it. One last thing, the products that I'm using, I will link down below, so don't feel like you need to write something down if you see it. Everything will be linked down below. I do use affiliate links, so if you use that link to shop, the retailer does pay me a small commission. If you use it, thank you for supporting my channel, but don't feel like you have to. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to pull our hair back. We are going to be using a lot of base products, so I want to make sure I don't get that in my hair. So right now what you see on my face is really just brows and skincare as well as sunscreen. I let that sink in for about 10 to 15 minutes. So if you have a busy morning like I do most of the time, I'll do my skincare, do my sunscreen right away, let that sink in as I'm brushing my teeth, getting dressed before I start on my makeup. So the very first step that I use before I go in with my primer is I'm going to go in with a loose powder. I'm going to use a fluffy brush like this. This is the BK Beauty 102. I love it because it's not too dense. It just kind of dusts the face with a very light layer of powder. You're going to notice that we're going to do a lot of really light layers of powder in between each step, but that's really what helps kind of build the layers or build the spackle as I call it, so that the foundation stays put. Now the powder that I'm using today, you can use any loose powder, but the powder that I'm using today is the Maybelline Fit Me powder, the loose one. And I'm just going to dust it very lightly. It should be pretty much undetectable even as you're dusting it on. Very, very light layer. Okay, the next step is actually a mattifying setting spray. Don't forget if you haven't seen this in an oily routine before, but I promise you this is literally what changes the game when it comes to oily skin during the summer months. I go in with this one. This is the one that I've been loving lately, and it's the Fitish Don't Sweat It CBD Makeup Setting Spray. It is extremely mattifying, but if you're an oily skin girl, you're not afraid of that. It does have like a eucalyptus scent or spray. It's a little strong, but it just works so nicely. And what I do is I'm going to very lightly spray, and I like to dry it down. Now, if you have sensitive eyes or if you have like a sensitivity to scents, because like I said, it almost smells like a eucalyptus scent, then maybe don't try this and just use any setting spray that you are accustomed to using for your oily skin. But I have just been loving this one, so I wanted to share that with you. Okay, the next step is going to be primer. The one that I've been loving, I mean, I've gone in so hard on this one. It's less than halfway now, but it's the Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Primer. It is so nice, you guys. It's not as like mattifying, but the powder's taking care of that, but it's so blurring. Like it just perfects your base in such a pretty way. And so this is the one that I like. It's not going to serve as like spackle for your pores, but it is blurring and it just makes your face look so pretty. I'll link this primer down below, but I did want to make a distinction. This is the newer one, the Hourglass Vanish. I don't even think it's that new, but it's the Vanish one. It's not the Hourglass Mineral Veil. This one, for some reason, like I can't rock with it. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't make it look nice and smooth across my complexion. So, and this one also has SPF, the Mineral Veil. This Hourglass Vanish does not. It's just an airbrush primer, but it's so pretty. Okay, so we did our light layer of powder, we did our primer, we did our spray, then we did our primer. Now we're gonna go in with another light layer of powder. Don't be scared, I promise you, you're not gonna look like a cakey mess. It actually ends up looking super beautiful. Again, very, very light layers, you guys. Like, let me just, I don't know if the camera will pick up on that. You see that little ring there? Extremely light layers of powder will do the trick. Okay, now we're going to spray the face once more. Okay, the foundation that I'm using today is going to be the #1 de Chanel. This is from the Red Camellia line. It's not really the most mattifying foundation, but again, it's this process, this routine that really does help it out. Now, this is sort of like my, my winter shade. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 1 drop of my Dermablend foundation in there just to mix it in a little bit. My Dermablend is in the shade 40N. It's just a high pigment, very natural looking foundation. I'm gonna mix it in, and then I'm going to go in and just dot it in there so we don't waste any foundation. For this routine, I really do like a damp beauty blender, but you know, a brush will work. I wouldn't recommend using your fingers with this routine, although I do love to use fingers with my foundations, because I did find that sometimes it will pull on the powder that you've laid down before, and it just kind of looks weird. You can't really tell, but to me it looks weird, so I don't recommend your fingers with this routine. We're already looking really good. If you notice, what I'm using are patting motions. Pat, 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 pat. We're pressing the foundation into the skin. And I do believe that pressing your foundation in also gives you a more blurring effect on the pores, because essentially you're like filling them, you're packing them in with product to give a more smooth base. Get the neck real quick. Before I go in with my last layer of powder and my setting spray, I do want to go in with my concealer. I'm trying out this new one by Huda Beauty. Everybody's been raving about it, so I did pick it up and I'm just testing it. Okay, that looks really nice. It looks a little glowy, but I love it. Okay, now we're going to the last step before we start with like our blush and our bronzer and everything. And so although we're going to seal everything in with a last layer of powder, I actually switch powders at this point. I like to go in with my Dior Powder No Powder, and I use my Beauty Blender sponge. I just find like as the final step powder, it's so extremely perfecting and blurring. I love it. This, I'm going to tell you, I was not the biggest fan of the Dior Powder No Powder until I paired it with this. I think I heard Makeup by Cheryl share this tip, and she was absolutely right. Like, this powder was made to work with this little blender puff. I love it so much now that I actually added another one to my Sephora cart, so that when we have the Sephora VIB sale in the fall, I can pick up another one of these. I would also say that I have sort of finicky under eyes. Not all powders work well for my under eye. My favorite one is like the Pat McGrath under eye setting powder, but this powder with this puff works really nice. Make sure there were no lines left. Okay, and now we're going in with our very last layer of setting spray. For the last layer, I also switch it up. You definitely don't need to. I like to do it just because I sit here and I inspect every inch of my face. And so I've noticed certain things work really nice. So I go in with my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And then as I turn on my little handheld fan, I like to press everything in. This concealer is really nice. I see it's a little glowy, which I really like. Okay, when it comes to the rest of the products, you really don't have to do anything special. I'm just going to stay on camera so you can see how I do it. But this is the Chantecaille Goa bronzer that I'm going to use on my BK Beauty 107. I love this brush. I always start at the temples and just kind of diffuse that way. You can see there how pretty that looks. I've recently changed the way I do my bronzer. I don't go all the way like crazy everywhere. I try to stay up to this point and back because I'm not trying to do any like very heavy contouring, but just because of the way that my cheekbones are structured, you see my cheekbones? It can get like really like intense with my blush. So I like to just keep it on the second half of my face. The chin. Okay, now I'm going to do something a little crazy that might make you feel really uncomfortable, but I want to show you just how perfected and set your face is that you can do this. We're going to go in with some cream blushes so that you can see how beautiful they go over this prepped face. I'm going to go in with a cream blush that I know works perfectly in this situation. So it's going to be the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Blush. This is in the shade Southbound. Oh my God, you guys, it is so freaking beautiful. I love it so much. It kind of looks like nothing. I have medium neutral skin, but once you start putting it on your face, it looks so pretty. So I'm going to just, I like to just kind of spread it out on my hand, and then whatever's left over, I just go in. Then I take my wet sponge and then I just start pressing it in. I think that it has a lot to do with the formula, but also the way that you've prepped your skin. I mean, your skin is locked and loaded. It's going nowhere. And so also, you know, having such a beautiful formula in this blush, I think helps quite a bit, but you can see there's, I mean, it looks gorgeous. There's no patchiness. It's not lifting any of my foundation. Everything sets really nicely. Okay, that looks really, really good. I think it looks glowy enough. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Natasha Denona I Need a Nude Glow, and I just take the same damp sponge, and it's all about creating like a very skin-like base, and I just like press it into the high points. Look at how pretty. It's just some luminosity that doesn't give you the beaming highlight, but it makes you kind of look like you're glowing. I did a little bit here, not too much. Now the last step is I'm going to go in with a powder blush. I just want to try this one. It's a new one to me. This is from the Sephora collection. Everybody's been raving about this. It's in the shade Fascinate. It's such a pretty shade. It looks really vibrant, but it goes really well on the skin. So I'll just swatch it there for you guys. Look how pretty. Woo. I usually use my Angie 503 blush brush, but I can't find it. So here's my Rose and Bend. This one is so good. This is the Rose and Bend C40, I believe. It's the one that looks like the BK Beauty 101. And I like this one for blush as well. Oh my God, look at that. That looks gorgeous. Look at that. That looks so pretty. All right, so I'm not going to take any more additional powder. I'll take the same fluffy powder brush just to make sure there's no harsh lines anywhere, but I don't feel the need to set anything. Usually my blush and my bronzer stay put. And so there is your perfected base. Now let's talk about my top 5 foundation recommendations, and I'll tell you why I like them. Okay guys, so now we're going to talk about my top 5 recommendations for foundations for oily skin. First of all, I just wanted to say, like, nod to the lipstick. Is this not gorgeous? This is one of the new Lisa Eldridge lipsticks. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up here and down below. Okay, so my first recommendation for oily skin during the summer months, especially when it's really hot, is going to be the Too Faced Born This Way Matte Foundation. This is the 24-hour undetectable super long wear foundation. This is so beautiful, you guys. Now, this is not a new foundation, but it's new to me. I've had it about a month. I got it during the cosmetics company store sale, like 6 for $60 or whatever. I can't stop using it. It's a little bit fuller coverage than I'm used to, but it's so gorgeous and it stays put. And it even though it's full coverage and it's a matte foundation, it still looks pretty skin-like, which I really love. So I would say this is one of my top recommendations. It is absolutely gorgeous. Don't sleep on this. You can usually purchase this at the cosmetics company store, but if not, Ulta and Sephora should have this one. I'll link it in 2 different places so that you can see. My next one is kind of a staple for any summer wedding event. Every single time there's a wedding during the summer and the bride has her makeup done, she's probably using this one. And I'm talking about the Dior Air Flash Foundation. This has been a staple in my collection for maybe 2 or 3 years. Like, it's so beautiful, you guys. I stayed away from it for a while just because it's kind of weird. Like, you shake it and it sounds like, you know, a spray can, which it is. And so I was like, how do you even use this? And like, you know, I even did this a couple times, I'm not even gonna lie. And that turned into a mess. But the way that you use it is you shake it up really good, and then you spray it on your brush or your sponge. I like it with either or. Like the BK Beauty 101 is a perfect brush for that. Also, a damp sponge is just fine. It looks like skin. It does not crack under humidity. It's heat resistant. It's transfer proof. It's everything you want in a foundation. And it can be built up pretty well also. It does say that it's water resistant for a 12-hour wear. I wear this for 16, 17 hours and it still looks nice, and it wears off really nicely as well. So I would highly recommend this foundation. The next foundation, oh my God, I love, and I need to be more intentional about panning it because I'm almost there, but it's the Stay Naked by Urban Decay. This is such a beautiful foundation. This is the weightless liquid foundation, up to 24-hour wear. And trust me, they are not playing. Like I said, I have really long days. I'm usually up by about 5 a.m. and I'm not taking my makeup off until about, you know, between 10 p.m. and midnight. I don't sleep that much, but this one is so beautiful. It looks, again, just like skin. You're going to see a trend here. I have oily skin. I have to have really good coverage, but I want it to look like skin. Like, nobody wants to look like cake face. And so this has been my go-to. This is in the shade 41NN, and as you can see, we're almost there. I'm almost done with it. I have like, you know, like 50 or 60 foundations. Not that I'm proud of it, but like this is one, like when it runs out, I'm gonna get it because I just enjoy it. Like, I don't wear, generally speaking, unless I'm working on like a long-term review, I don't wear foundations every single day. I try to rotate them, but this is usually in my monthly rotation always. So I really like this one. The next one is going to be a little bit more higher end, more luxury, but it's beautiful. And the other day I was wearing this foundation and I go to my sister's house and she's like, oh my God, your face looks flawless. What are you wearing? Now, mind you, I had showed up to her house to pick up my kids. It was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and I had applied this foundation around 5:30 in the morning. I'm talking about the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation. This is so good. It's an oil-free gel foundation. Maybe that's where the secret is. It's a gel foundation. It's oil-free. I like applying this with my fingers. I like it that way. I feel like it goes on really nicely. It stays on really well. With the routine that we just talked about, this is probably one of the only foundations that I can get away using my fingers instead of a sponge or a brush, because I have layers of like setting spray and powder, but it's so pretty, you guys. This one actually, I'm like a little more than halfway done with it, which again is a big deal in my world because, like I said, I have a lot of foundations, but this is one that I can wear in the summer, in the winter, in the fall, like anytime. It looks so good. I do prep my skin a little differently during the summer when I use this than, you know, during the winter, for instance, but it's still so, so pretty, and one that I think is really worth checking out. I do love like their Future Skin Cushion Foundation, but like, although that one's really, really beautiful, like I just, out of the two, I had to pick this one. This one's really, really good. I'm in the shade Nude, by the way. I don't know if I said it, but in the Dior, I'm a 3N. And then in this Born This Way, I'm a warm beige, so yeah. And the last one, I wanted to throw in a skin tint or a tinted moisturizer in, because I do know that some people just like a lot lighter coverage, which I tend to like as well. But I'm gonna cheat. I have a bunch of skin tints and I could not choose, you guys. Like I could not pick between these two. So the first one that I'm gonna show you is the Tower 28 Sunny Days Broad Spectrum SPF 30 Tinted Sunscreen. This is so good. It's so, so good. I love it so much all year long, and it does so well in the summer. It looks like skin, but it can be built up. Like you get a little coverage with this. It's just beautiful. It says that it's safe for sensitive skin, vegan, cruelty-free, and it won't cause breakouts. It's alcohol-free. I'm in the shade 28 Ocean Park. It's so good. SPF 30, I think I said that, but this one is a beautiful skin tint that works well with oily skin types. And then the other one that I just, again, I couldn't choose between the two is going to be the Rare Beauty Positive Light Tinted Moisturizer. So, so nice. I did review this, so I can link it if you'd like. I don't know if I reviewed this one, but I definitely reviewed this one. This one's so pretty. But I'll link it. This is so good. It is such a beautiful, beautiful coverage. And I will tell you that even with my oily skin, during the spring, which is when I bought this, like I didn't even have to use like primer or like prep my skin in any way. It still worked so nicely. During the summer, I will recommend that you prep your skin a little more with powder and setting spray, but it is so, so nice. Like the hype on this one is so real, you guys. I promise you, you are going to love it. Okay, so there you go. There is my oily skin prep routine for foundation for a flawless base, as well as my top 5-ish recommendations for oily skin types that I think you'll really enjoy. If you were looking at these or you were thinking about trying a new foundation, I highly recommend these. I think you'll be really happy with the results. Again, I'll link everything down below. Let me know what your favorite foundation is if you're oily skin type, during the summer months, especially, since that's what we're dealing with today. And leave those comments down below and let's start a conversation. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much. Have a good one. Bye.